Okay, how's everybody doing tonight? Thank y'all for coming out. We really appreciate it. And you know me, and Dr. Lori Thornton is my partner in crime tonight. You heard about her, and we're going to be talking about, really not just weight management, but health management. And one size does not fit all, which is why I'm so glad Lori's here. And first of all, thank y'all for being here. You're doing what unfortunately, a very small percentage of people in the United States particularly are doing, and that's taking time to invest in your wellness. So give yourself a hand, okay? So thank you. It's amazing. We spend a heck of a lot of money and minutes consumed with superficial appearance. Does my hair look okay? And makeup and entertainment and possessions. But how much money and minutes do we spend on taking care of our body? Yeah, and that's why, thank you for being here. We appreciate it, and we hope to give you some pearls tonight, okay? So, I gotta make sure you guys are awake. So first of all, does everybody have the handouts? Does anybody not have the handout? If you don't, raise your hand, because Gabe can get you. There you go. Anybody else? We got some handouts there. All right, we got some more. Anyone that needs the handouts? Oh, we got some more people coming in, Gabe. Make sure they get them. Great.
Keep the hands up and I'll find you.
All right. Now, what I want y'all to do is kind of put your handouts to the side and then stand up. I got to make sure you guys are awake, okay? All right? Because, well, I'm going to try to. Can you up the volume, or we don't have the audio connected? Brian? Can y'all hear that song? Maybe that's better. All right. Come on, I gotta make sure you're awake. We learn a lot better if you go and blood is flowing. All right, amazing. In front of you. As we're going to be talking about lifestyle, and we're not going to talk about it a lot today, but a lot of our weight management depends upon how much we move, and that's so important. And I and Dr. Thornton are going to kind of tag team some of the lifestyle stuff, but at the end, I'm going to let her talk about some medical management and other issues with weight loss, which is her expertise, not mine, okay? So food is medicine. And as a lot of you know, I have 11 essential elements to health and happiness. And number 2 is critique caloric consumption. Because why should we do it? Because we are what we eat. We are what we eat. I mean, if we look at the state that we're in, it's 2 big factors. What are we eating? And how much are we moving? And how are we moving? That determines not only our weight, but our body composition. So it's not just weight, it's body composition. How much of you is fat and how much of you is muscle? And that's why 15 years ago when Dr. Waxman, my husband of soon to be 42 years, drugged me to a wellness conference, kicking and screaming, we realized, wait a minute, we need to start changing our lifestyle, and that led to some incredible changes. So what we would like to do is move more people from the left side to the right side. Because when you come to see us, you come to see me and you come to see Lori, we don't have hours to spend with you. Hours and hours to tell you what all you need to do. We have a few minutes to go. Here, you take this. All right, take this. Because we don't have hours. So it's really cool that you guys are here investing time to learn about maybe how to get more over to the right side and have less of the left side. Yeah, we're all going to need some medications if we're lucky enough to live long enough. If we're lucky enough to live long enough, all of us maybe need something a little bit for blood pressure or whatever, we're going to need that, okay? So what we want to do is try to lower the number of surgeries and medications we're going to need in a lifetime. I remember my dad when he was in his 90s, early 90s, and the doctor said, well, we need to put you on a little blood pressure medicine. And my dad said, well, I've never had high blood pressure. I go, Dad, you're finally normal, okay? I mean, the majority of people will develop some elevations in blood pressure as they age. All right, not 100%, but the majority of people. All right, and our food consumption is a major driver of our numbers. And these numbers, the essential element number one of living well aware is normal numbers now. Food consumption is a major driver of that. And you have your partner with your provider worksheet. And for those of you that have not filled that out, this is really important because it has the normal numbers and it has blanks for your numbers. And also on this worksheet, it includes the 7 American Heart Association health metrics. 4 of them are numbers, and one is, are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? Are you meeting the exercise guidelines, which Dr. Waxman is going to go over next month. Before he moderates the panel, what he's going to do is go over what are the fitness guidelines recommended by the American Heart Association and other organizations, and how can, what are the different ways to meet those. And also he's going to look a little bit into the science of what happens when people exercise at various levels, and it's pretty fascinating. So before Dr. Waxman goes into the panel discussion, he's going to be showing some slides on that, some stuff that just came out a couple of weeks ago in major journals, which is really cool, really cool. So stay tuned for that. About 7 out of 10 people in the United States, I think that's still the percentage, Lori, have excess body fat. About 70%?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if you take it's probably higher than that because there are a lot of menopausal women who are their normal weight, but a lot of that is fat. So they're almost like they're a skinny fat is what it's termed. I didn't come up with that term, okay? But it's like their weight, they've lost muscle, and the tissue they have there is more fat than muscle because over time they've lost muscle and they've replaced it with fat. So they actually may be in the normal range for their weight, but it's more fat than we want. We want more muscle. We want more muscle. And once again, the group will be talking about that next month. I'm very excited about that. So what's going to keep us from improving what and how much you eat? Your BS. Your self-limiting belief system. That's what keeps us from having an amazing life in any category. We have a self-limiting belief system. And our self-image rules our life. How we see ourselves rules our life. It guides all of our decisions, and many incredible books written on that, and I love discussing them in our webinar series. But you have to ask yourself, what is your BS? Because I want to tell you, folks, whatever excuse you have, maybe if you're having trouble with your weight, your BS is not unique. All of these have been recycled, right, Lori? You've never heard this, have you? Losing weight's difficult. I've tried everything. It's genetic. My whole family's overweight. It runs in my family. No, the problem is nobody runs in your family. All right? I was brought up eating this kind of food. Folks, I was brought up eating chicken fried steak with gravy and mashed potatoes. That doesn't mean I have to eat that now. But that's what I was throw in the kolaches too, okay? I am Czech, all right? All right? I don't like vegetables. My weakness is chips or bread or sweets or what is it for you? Come on, tell me. M&M's. The almond ones. Yeah. My family won't eat healthy. I hear this one a lot. I'm hungry all the time. I'm a stress eater. I don't have time or money to eat healthy. Lori, what are some other ones you hear? Or do I cover most of them?
I think you covered it. Yeah.
Did I leave any out? What?
Hormones in the gastric or indigestion.
What does?
Some healthy foods,
Healthy foods.
etc.
You know what? And that's actually what happens a lot of times. When I started converting to healthy eating, I thought, well, I'm going to start eating kale. I got sick. My microbiome, my gut bacteria said, we don't do kale. And I had to slowly sneak it in. Thank you very much. Let's give it up for her. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
My hormones.
Oh, it's my hormones. I'm a gynecologist. Do you think I hear that occasionally? It doesn't matter if they're 25 years old and their hormones having periods every month, or they're menopausal and the ovaries are dried up. They're blaming it on the hormones. Because we got 25-year-olds that are morbidly obese. All right? So all this. So what's your self-limiting belief system about food? Because if you say something is going to be difficult, it's going to be difficult. Because the mind is the master, the body is the slave. And if you say this is going to be difficult, the body goes, we'll make sure it is. We will look for ways to make it difficult. Folks, that's the way it works. As soon as I think something, my body acts it out. If I'm thinking upset, my body goes, I know how to do that. Automatically. It's amazing, in a fraction of a second. Okay? So, I always say we need to have a living, well-aware food consumption belief system. Okay? How about losing weight's easy? People do it all the time. It's my time. Go on the internet. People lose 100 pounds in 6 months. All of a sudden, they decide to get off the couch, and they go, I'm getting rid of this crap out of my house. Do it all the time. It's amazing. Amazing. My whole family's overweight, but I'm changing that. I'm going to be the first one. Or how about, I control my life. I can change what I eat. Hello? Or I'll find vegetables I do like, and I'll start out slowly. And I'll hide them in certain foods. Like maybe in my juicer, or, throw some cauliflower in with those mashed potatoes, whatever. I'll find a way to do this. I'm going to search the internet on how do you like vegetables. And I don't have to give up all the foods I like, but I need to limit them if I'm going to have this amazing life. It's not what we do, 10% of the time. It's what we do 90% of the time. It's what we do the majority of the time. Right? And I don't have to eat what my spouse, family, friends eat. I choose to make healthy choices. Just because you've decided to jump on the wellness wagon doesn't mean your whole family's ready to plop on with you. And if hungry, I choose to drink water or eat something low calorie. And when I'm stressed, I go for a walk or take deep breaths or get into a state of gratitude. I don't turn to food. When I get stressed, I will not turn to food. And if you keep saying that, the body's going to go, okay, we'll go for a walk. It's amazing how it works. But your mind and your body need a destination. They need to see what you want to be. What do you want to look like? What do you want to be? And a lot of people have trouble seeing themselves as thin, seeing themselves as lean, vibrant, energetic. I go, well, then go find some pictures of people that you would like to be. Like, I want to be like that person. And then put your head on that person, okay? I did a women's wellness conference where someone did that. It was really pretty cool. And I will make time and money for me to be healthy. Right? But once again, you have to change that belief system. If you don't get rid of the belief system, people wonder why they get weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. They never change their belief system. And they never saw themselves differently. If you always see yourself as overweight and you go, that's just the way I am, there's no way you can stick with the program. So starting with the belief system is very important. And portion size matters. If we just take in a few extra calories a day, those calories keep getting stored and stored and stored. And over time, that leads to a lot of weight. So even if you take in just a few extra calories a day, that's a couple of extra bites of salmon or that little fraction of a cookie. You take in a few extra calories a day that you didn't burn off, look what happens over time. And people wonder how did this happen? Easy. Yeah. So what's the key to weight management? And I and Dr. Thornton have gone over this, and it's thinking of energy as food. Because a calorie is a unit of energy. That's what a calorie is. So when you're looking at a plate of food, you need to go, wow, there's a lot of energy there. It's energy. In fact, you are nothing but a bundle of energy. All your cells are wired. We are nothing but a bundle of energy. In fact, all of that tissue is full of energy. And sometimes we can have so much extra tissue, it's literally a time bomb of energy. And so how much you weigh is determined by energy in and energy out. How much energy are you taking in? How much energy is going out? And yes, some people can lose weight easier than others because of their microbiome and other things that we're learning, right? But it's the basic philosophy. But energy that's not used is going to be stored. Our body is so efficient. We wish it wasn't efficient. We wish it would just let the food go through. But your body is so amazing. It's such an incredible machine. It doesn't want to waste any energy. It wants to store it. And so when you take in food, any little calorie that's not used, that you didn't burn off, it wants to store. So the question is, if your tank is full, do you need to fill it up every day? If your tank is full, how much do you need to be putting in every day? You can burn some of that energy that's already there, that's already stored. Right? Because your body's not going to go to the stored energy unless you make it. So if you need to gain weight, which there are people that need to gain weight. You know these people. They're way too thin and it's not good. They need to gain some weight. And they need to gain muscle. They need to gain muscle, not fat. But in order to do that, they need to take in good energy, good quality energy, and maybe they need to exercise a little bit less. All right? But sometimes there are people that just need to take in more. And then they burn off. And if you need to lose weight, which is the majority of people, then the energy taken in, needs to be less than the energy that's burned out. If you want to lose weight, you got to think, I got to take in less energy. That food is energy. I need to take in less energy, but I need to burn off more energy. Now you're in a negative balance, and your body is forced to go to the fat cells. So the goal is to get it to a normal BMI, and then you can kind of play with it. Isn't it? Are y'all like me? Can you gain 5 pounds in no time? How many people know what I'm talking about? Oh, I can gain 5 pounds in a few days. Got off the food plan because the family came. And I'm having a good time. We're throwing sausage on the grill, and I'm having a good time. And I get on the scale and went, well, Patsy, you did have a good time. And am I stressed out about it? No. I'm not stressed out about it at all. Betsy, you know how to get rid of that 5 pounds. All right? And I just cut it down for the next week and boom, it's down. But I don't stress about it. I'm not going to stress about my weight, folks. I'm not going to. Life is too short to be stressed out about this, and I don't want you stressing out about your weight. Wherever you are right now, weight-wise, that's where you're supposed to be. Because that's where life has brought you. Your genetics and your life events have brought you there. Embrace where you are now, but then decide, where do I want to be tomorrow? Right? But don't be feeling bad about yourself. life brings us to certain places, but if we turn it around, it's beautiful. We're an example for other people. So I'm not going to be stressed out about my weight. And if you get to a normal weight, and then all of a sudden you go on that cruise, or the family comes over and you put on a few pounds, you go, I got to get that off. We're getting this back in gear, because you've given yourself some leeway. Are you with me on this? Are you catching what I'm throwing? Get where you want to be, and then you can play with it. But just don't let it get out of hand. All right? So the keys: your body will not go to the energy stores your fat unless you take in less and burn off more. Don't argue with science, and don't argue with the scale, unless it's broken, all right? But basic science. Yes, some people lose weight easier than other people. There's no doubt about it, because a lot of what we're learning about the microbiome and metabolism and stuff, just like some people have to deal with breast cancer. All of us have things in life we have to deal with. The quality of our life is not so much determined by what's going on, but how you and I are going to handle it. Right? Yeah. We all have stuff to deal with. We're all different. So, Lori, take over. Tell us about baby steps in losing weight.
So, whenever I talk to people about weight loss, I always just kind of ask them, well, what are your goals? And like Patsy was saying, to envision, maybe you want to lose 30 pounds. So to envision yourself at that weight, and then to make your choices to get to that weight. And I think Patsy kind of addressed that, but I ask people, what are you eating? What are you drinking? And then how many times a day are you eating and drinking? What are you eating and drinking? Of course, if it's sweet tea or sodas or having several cocktails in the evening, that's not going to tend to lend toward losing weight. And a lot of this is the hormonal part about weight loss. So, there's so much about like the energy storage that Patsy was talking about in our bodies, and when we eat certain foods like sugars or flour that acts like sugar when it breaks down in our system, our body releases the insulin hormone, and that's an energy storage hormone that tells our body, you don't want to lose weight, you want to try to store this energy. So if you can keep your insulin levels low, sometimes you can lose weight a lot easier. And if you eat like 3 meals a day and 2 snacks, like a lot of us grew up being told that was the way to lose weight, was have several small meals through the day, that's going to keep the insulin levels higher and reduce your ability to lose weight. And I think that is an important, I don't know if that's what you were getting at with the baby step, but
Baby steps, like when people are drinking several Cokes a day, or drinking sweet tea, and or maybe having several cocktails, do you just tell them you got to cut all that stuff out?
No. And I like to be really gentle with people when I talk to them about this topic, because what they eat and drink is really hard for them to say. I grew up drinking sweet tea. I'm from the South, and some of them really don't even envision that they could give up their sweet tea or their sodas, say they're drinking 3 a day. So I'll reason with them and say, well, do you think you could cut it down, have a goal of maybe 1 a day for this week, and then maybe I see them back in a month, and maybe they're like, yeah, it's been fine, I'm doing 1 a day, and then maybe, well, could we do 3 a week, and then a month later, maybe we're down to 1 a week, and then gradually weaning from the sugary beverage. Not to say they have to totally give it up, but like maybe it's going to be a special occasion that they say, well, I'm going to only have my sodas once every 2 or 3 weeks when I plan to do it. And so much of this, like the thought processes about planning what people are going to eat and drink, because I don't give a diet to someone. I don't ever put anyone on a diet, to tell them, well, you need to eat this and this to lose weight. But I help them figure out what's going to work for them, and as far as the choices that they're making. Like maybe they're eating all of their meals as fast food, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people, they'd eat all of their meals fast food, and you just kind of work through, well, maybe you could go to the grocery store, and what do you like in the vegetable section? And maybe we'll start with that. and introduce more. And I encourage people to eat 5 servings of vegetables a day, which some people look at me like, well, I don't eat any vegetables. And so for them, 5 a day is not reasonable. So maybe we'll just start in with 1 or 2 servings a day and figure out what they could eat.
It is amazing how often I hear that I don't eat vegetables.
Yeah.
And I was brought up on vegetables. That was one thing on the farm. We had our own garden, but I'm like, you don't eat vegetables. And having to slowly get them to introduce, can you eat, throw a little sauteed spinach in those mashed potatoes or something, hide them in there, figuring out some way they can start sneaking vegetables into their diet. But they have to do it slowly because literally their microbiome, their gut bacteria don't even know how to metabolize it. They don't have the microbiome to metabolize it, so you have to start slowly. Yeah, but I and Dr. Thornton were talking about this, starting out with baby steps, and Jeff is always big about talking about baby steps on our webinar series, getting people to start off with slow things. And I like what you said about you've got to, you don't put people on a diet. You have to let them figure it out. And the people that I've known who have been incredibly successful with weight loss, and they've listened to our webinar series. They know that we're not going to put you on a diet. We're going to give you some suggestions. And all of a sudden, they take off and they run with it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you've lost 50 pounds during this series? Yeah, well, what did you do? And I love hearing about what they did. Yeah, it's like, oh, I had to get crackers and chips out of the house because I will eat the whole box or whatever. And I realized I had to do this or whatever. They figured it out for themselves. Or I had to give up fast food. I had to make it a point to have time to go to the grocery store. But they had to figure out what was going to work for them. And I'm so glad you said that, because I've learned so much from people who've given me feedback when I ask them, well, how did you lose all this weight? Well, I did what you said. Well, what did I say? And they were like, well, you gave us all these suggestions, but this is what worked for me. Oh, okay. And I'm like, wow, I never knew to emphasize that. And they give me feedback. So I love hearing from people. All right. Because those baby steps, after a while, you are rocking it. Okay, man. I mean, we all started out here. And when we stumbled the first time, our parents didn't go, give up, this kid's never going to walk. We might as well just give up. No, they kept working with us and working with us and working with us. And we wouldn't give up either because we saw everybody else walking, like, hey, maybe I'm supposed to do this too. And man, after a while, we are shaking it. We are shaking it. Okay. Oh, Lori, what about portion size today? I mean, look at this. Look what we've done with coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, so, something I teach people is to really look at if they're physically hungry and only eat when they're physically hungry, and to really evaluate. Because a lot of people look at a plate of food, and, many of us grew up in an era where we were taught to finish our plate. And that's an ingrained habit that it's amazing how many people, like I've got them maybe on a medicine that would usually lead to great weight loss, and they're not losing weight. And then we'll kind of question and say, well, what's going on? And they're like, well, I'm not hungry at half of the plate, but I've got to finish that plate because that's what I learned. And so just really teaching them again that it's okay to leave some food on the plate. And Patsy was saying earlier, I mean, it's wasted if you put it on your body, where really, health-wise, I mean, it's a lot better to just throw it in the trash because it does nothing for your body. It's really, of course, counterintuitive to what you want to do for good health.
And I can't believe what we've done with coffee today. I mean, I was brought up with a bunch of black coffee drinkers. But I went off to college and everything, and all of a sudden I started putting all this crap in my coffee until 5 years ago during Lent, when several of my friends talked me into doing Whole30 with them, the food plan, and you had to drink your coffee black. And I went, what? You've got to be kidding me. The first 2 weeks were painful. But after a while, I became a coffee snob, and that was 5 years ago. Now I'm a black coffee drinker. But I can't believe people are going to these places and putting caramel in their coffee and these syrups and whipped cream. And you take something that should have essentially no calories in it, and now it's a meal. It's hundreds and hundreds of bad calories. And look what we've done with popcorn. I always tell people, you see that big bucket? That's for the whole row. Take your little cup out of there and take some and just pass it down. All right? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what we've done today and what we're doing with soft drinks and stuff. I'm old enough to remember when there was the very small Dr. Peppers that were like 6 ounce or something, and they were 6 cents. I'm turning 70 this year, so I've been through a few sizes of several products, okay? So what is an appropriate serving size? Lori, it'll say on the label, this is an appropriate serving size, but you have to ask yourself, what are your goals, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you really need to ask yourself if you're hungry, and is it physical hunger, like you showed the popcorn and the burger, and a lot of times you sit down, it's like, well, this looks really good and it tastes really good, and I want to keep eating because it tastes good. And I think you have to watch out for those foods, and really you kind of have to be a food snob and eat the nutritious food that's good nutritiously, but not because it's really exciting your palate. As far as, there's a lot of the young people these days, they call themselves foodies, and they're into just really gourmet specialty foods. And I think you have to really watch out, because if you have too much variety and too much that's wonderful in taste, you're tempted to eat it for the wrong reasons. So I tend to promote more boring eating, just your green vegetables and your plain chicken breast. And if you're not hungry enough to eat chicken breast and broccoli, you shouldn't be eating. And that's true, So I think if you're ever thinking about eating,
she said that.
Yeah, you should think about that. And honestly, I think that's just really something to learn, because some people don't ever know what hunger feels like. They'll say, well, I don't know if I'm hungry or not. It's like, well, you're probably not hungry. Yeah. And that comes back to, we were taught to eat like 3 meals a day and 2 snacks. I don't know if a lot of you were taught that. I was. And I was taught that if you eat multiple times a day, every 3 to 4 hours, a small plate of food, that's the best thing for keeping yourself healthy. But that's actually the opposite, because like I was talking earlier about the insulin hormone, if you can keep it low, you're going to help ability to lose weight. So if you're eating all day long from when you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night, you got your insulin levels elevated, and your body's never going into a mode of needing to get the fat stores on your body for energy. So no matter, even if you've got a low-calorie diet, your body will reduce your basal metabolic rate, so that then you're doing the opposite of what you really want. You don't want to have a low basal metabolic rate where you need less calories. You want to actually be able to burn your energy. So you're much better off if you choose to eat maybe 2 or 3 meals a day and limit that time frame to maybe like an 8-hour eating window. So that's called intermittent fasting.
We'll get to that.
Patsy's going to talk about that, but I'm really a fan of that, because it helps so much when people are trying to lose weight.
And this serving size is really important. I can tell you, a dude over there that I live with, his serving size is twice mine. He burns off twice as many calories as I do. I'm not going to lift that many weights. I'm not going to stay on that darn elliptical that long. And I'm not on my feet all day long in the operating room and going up and down stairs and here and all. And so we have to go, how much energy do I need to be taking in for my lifestyle? All right? And, I don't care what my friends are eating or what my husband's eating or whatever. It's what do I need to eat? What do I need to eat? And so Lori and I are going to go over food myths. Eating fat will make you fat. Well, don't blame the butter for what the bread did. In fact, Lori, if I could get you to share a little bit, I'm going to ask Lori if she would share her story. Because Lori, how much weight have you lost?
So, it's kind of embarrassing, but yeah, I had put on some weight, and I've lost 45 pounds.
Give it up.
And it's embarrassing, but Patsy, she knows me from, I was pregnant when she was my doctor 32 years ago, and I just kind of, did what people do, and you just eat 3 meals a day, and the weight just comes on, and then one day it's like, well, I don't like this, so I made a decision. And I was telling Pat, she said, what did you do? And I said, well, I just decided, I put it like, how a vegetarian won't eat meat? So I decided I was not going to eat sugar and flour. And I did that until I got to my goal weight. And now I only eat sugar and flour when I decide to do that. But that's my personal story. And some people lose weight without omitting sugar and flour. So I don't put that on my patients. but I'm sharing it just because I said I would.
But Lori found out what worked for her, and that's I found out that works for me. I don't have bread in the house, and if I do have some crackers or something like that on rare occasions, it's gluten-free. I do better without flour, and I do better without sugar. So I try to keep sweets out of the house, and that's one way it's easy for me to keep my weight down. Then all of a sudden the kids and grandkids come for the week. And so what? Yeah, I'm going to have some, and I may put on that little weight, but once again, get to your goal like Lori did, and then go, hey, okay. Now I'm in that point where I can play with this, and it's fun. You get on the scale and go, oh yeah, okay, I know how to get this off. I've done it before. I can do this because you've got a vision of the person you want to be. So Lori, thanks for sharing your story. Let's give it up, okay? Thanks. How about a calorie is a calorie? It doesn't matter where it comes from. There are good calories and bad calories, and a lot of this processed food we're eating, it's high in chemicals, sugar, bad stuff. So, it's the quality. And so it's a lot of the bad carbs that are out there in our breads and our pastries and our sweets and a lot of fast food. Yeah. And the healthiest food plan is plant-based. Notice it does not say plant only. Now, if you are a vegan or vegetarian, that's awesome. But that's not me. I eat some meat. But plant-based. When you look at your plate, the majority of it should be vegetables over time. And how about this one, Lori? Diet soda is good for you. Yeah.
And a lot of people do drink some diet soda, but it's better to drink water. But, not everybody will go straight from drinking like 3 sodas a day to water. So I'll tell them, well, can you switch to water? And if they say, sure, great. And if they say, no, I can't do that, well, sometimes it's that gentle switch to something without the sugar, and then they might move toward maybe a carbonated drink that doesn't have any
That's what I did. I was a Coke junkie, and then I switched to Diet Cokes, and I slowly weaned off the Diet Cokes. And now looking at a soft drink actually makes me nauseous almost, because I got so used to not drinking them that now I have no desire. I don't even want one. And I was drinking several a day. Yeah. So I love your baby steps doing it slowly. All right. How about, we talked about this, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. How many have been taught that? Yeah. I guess, when I was on the farm, hoeing cotton all day and picking cotton all day, eating 5 meals a day, and we were all thin because we were burning thousands of calories a day. We couldn't take in energy fast enough because we were working all day long. But now that's a different case. And like Lori says, if you want to keep those insulin levels low, maybe skipping breakfast or delaying it for a while so your body will burn off some of that fat. We'll talk about that more. Ketogenic eating means gorging only on fat. Any comments on that, Lori?
So I do have a lot of patients that choose to eat a keto diet and lose their weight, and I encourage them if they want to do that. And so they do have some healthy fat with that, but usually, the healthier fats and some of the animal fats, but no, it's not gorging on fat. Yeah,
you can get into a ketogenic state by being on a plant-based diet and doing intermittent fasting. You don't have to gorge on fat to get into a ketogenic state. So, and eating a bunch of animal protein and having it as the major part of your food consumption, the data's coming out on that is just not good. It's increasing our risk of heart disease and several cancers. So, and you're talking to someone who was born and raised on a farm and a ranch. I own a ranch. I have cows. I just don't eat as many of them anymore, and my cows are happier, okay? I'm trying to tell my brother, can we do something else with this land? I don't get besides raise cows. Because this is not what I'm about. So I'm talking to him about that. All right. Number 6, I need to clean my plate. We need to eat what's offered. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And we talked a little bit about this. In fact, I'm going to show you a picture of Dr. Waxman sent this to me today. He walked through the break room to go put his lunch in the ice box. Oh, in fact, he said, oh, I should have taken a picture of the other box of donuts also. There were 2 boxes. But everywhere we go, there's food. And someone may put this in your face and go, I brought these, don't you want one? Or like one of my patients who, bless her heart, brought me, she wanted to thank me. She brought me an Italian cream cake to work. And I went, oh, thank you. And they're like, and so I'm bringing the cake out of the room, and they go, Dr. Sulak, what are you going to do with that? And I go, I'm not taking this home. and they go, we'll help you eat it. And I went, okay, misery loves company. All right, let's go. I cannot take this home. Jeff was very upset that I did not take some home, okay, when he found out about it. But I was like, I told her, thank you. I mean, I didn't know what else to do, but I thought I can't bring this thing home. And I let everybody else have a little piece of it, so we all had a little piece. But had I brought it home, I'd be having a big piece, okay? And we have to watch, like I went to a medical meeting, and here's a box lunch. All right, and this was years ago before I totally quit eating processed meat. I do not eat processed meat. If you knew what was in that stuff, you'd throw up. And so what I did was I took all the food out of the box, and I put back in the box what I was going to eat. I thought, I'll eat the meat, and I'll eat the vegetables, and I'll eat the pickle. And so I ate it because I was hungry, because I was into intermittent fasting and hadn't had breakfast. And I wanted something to eat. All right, and then I took the food that I didn't eat, the bread and the cookie and the chips, and I put it back in the box. Now, what did I do with the box? I went and threw it in the wastebasket. What? No, Jeff. I threw it in the wastebasket. People, you might say, you wasted that. Well, am I supposed to give the cookie to my friend next to me who doesn't need it either? That's not nice. All right? It can either go in that wastebasket or it can go on my waste basket. Where's the better basket for it to go into? Just because somebody gives you a box of food or whatever, you need to open it up and go, that's all of that's energy. What energy, how much energy do I need? What's the good energy here? What's the bad energy? All right, make a decision. Here we go. Now, I'm at a medical meeting. Okay, we're going to be sitting all day long. Lord knows we don't need breakfast. And once again, this was before I got into intermittent fasting. I don't eat breakfast anymore. But I'm sitting there, and I just worked out at the gym. I show up to this meeting, and I'm seeing all this food, and I do what I always do when there's a buffet line. I go look at the buffet line. I know what's on it, and then I go back and get in line. That's what I always do. I don't care if it's for lunch or if I'm at an evening meeting, I always go check it out, and then I go back and get in line. Now I know what's in the line. I know what I'm going to get because I know the person I want to be. All right? So what did I do? Oh, look at this. Oh, there's more. We're going to be sitting all day long. Understand? And all this is energy. Oh, they're at the end of the line. Oh, there's some fruit. Yeah. And here's what I picked out. First of all, notice all the white on the plate. Portion control. I got a little bit of the fruit, a little bit of eggs, and the potatoes were cooked in peppers and onions, and I got a little bit. Normally, I don't eat potatoes, but I got a little bit. Just to show you that I am human, all right? But look, did I get the bread? Did I get the croissants? Did I get those sweet rolls? Did I get that sausage and bacon, which is bad unless you're getting organic bacon and sausage from natural grocers or somewhere. All right, it's full of chemicals. It's full of nitrites, which are being associated with Alzheimer's disease and a lot of problems. But I sit there, I went through the line, and I got what I need. That's all I need today. I'm going to be sitting on my butt all day long at a medical meeting. All right, I don't have time to show you what they had for the other meals, but I also did this with the other meals. But anyway, just to are you catching what I'm throwing? Let's start eating smart. We're being offered all this stuff, and we need to make healthy decisions. All right. So in this one, coffee's bad for you, alcohol is good for you. No, coffee drinkers live longer. Or maybe they're so obnoxious you just think they live longer. I don't know. But actually, there's a lot of health benefits from coffee. It's anti-inflammatory and maybe even reducing our risk of Alzheimer's. Alcohol is the problem. I was bought into this where, a couple of drinks a day is good for you. No, it's not. It's increasing it's calories you can't burn off. It's increasing our risk of breast cancer, ladies, and increasing our risk of Alzheimer's and a lot of other problems. I'm not saying you don't drink alcohol, and I'm not saying I don't have maybe a glass or two a week, but I'm not having 2 a day like I used to, or more. Yeah, I was drinking too much, and I decided I'm done with this. This is not good. Lori, did I leave out any? Did I leave out any food myths?
I can't think of any.
Anybody think of any more?
What about the stevias and splendas and stuff?
I think stevia, if you're going to use an artificial sweetener, it's probably the healthiest.
Yeah, it has less insulin increase because some of those artificial sweeteners will still have some of the insulin increase that we're trying to keep down. Like if we're doing intermittent fasting and say you don't eat breakfast, but maybe you want some coffee in the morning, I'll tell people it's better to put some cream in that coffee if they can't drink it black, because some people, you just can't stand black coffee. And stevia would be better than some of the other artificial sweeteners in that regard. Now, when it comes to, you were talking about the microbiome, so there's still issues where it can negatively impact the microbiome that has a lot of consequences that we're still learning about, and that can affect your ability to lose weight and a lot of other health issues.
Yeah. All right, and just a little bit, we don't have time to go into a lot of this. In our webinar series, we spent a whole hour talking about autophagy and hours talking about fasting. But autophagy is a term that most people are not familiar with. In fact, if you ask your doctor, what do you think about autophagy? They may look at you like, what? Is that some fad or something? No, there's just been a few Nobel Prizes won on it, the concept. And your body actually wants to recycle itself. This is so cool. It's a cool concept. And it's a form of cellular recycling where your body gets rid of the poorly functioning cells, which are sitting there causing inflammation. And inflammation is the root cause of disease. All right? And so our body actually wants to get rid of the bad cells, but our body is very energy efficient. It's going to use the energy we take in because that's easy to process. You're taking food in. It's going to go after that energy. It's not going to go after the energy in the poorly functioning cells unless you force it to. And so, once again, it's initiated by you stressing your body. So when we stress our body, that's actually good because it forces our body to go, what? We need some energy here. Oh, let's go burn some of those fat cells which are releasing inflammatory cytokines. We know that fat tissue is not just sitting there, it's releasing adipocytokines, these inflammatory molecules which are creating havoc. In some people it may be causing an autoimmune disease, in other people a heart attack, in other people Alzheimer's disease. It just has different manifestations in different people. And so we have to force our body to eat itself. That's what autophagy is, to recycle itself. And you do it by fasting. You force your body to get rid of these bad cells because your body isn't going to get rid of the good cells. It's smart. We're going to go after those bad ones. We're going to go after the bad cells. Just like the lion going, let's go after that old antelope. It's going to be easier to catch. All right, so it does that, and it does it in several ways. And two of the best ways is with exercise. That forces down our autophagy pathways, and the other is fasting. All right, and another is extreme temperatures, hot and colds. A lot of data on hot cold therapy, saunas. We just had a sauna installed at our house, and that's one of the talks Jeff gives on our webinar series. Is what's the science behind temperature extremes and what it does. And it's really, I never knew that there were such things as heat shock proteins, but I know now. So we actually want to stress our body to get rid of the bad stuff so we can survive. So that's pretty cool. And the goal of autophagy really is for us to have a more resilient body. And all the body systems are affected by when our body goes down the pathway of getting rid of bad cells. But once again, it won't get rid of those bad cells unless we force it to. And that's why people who do fast, people who exercise and all, have a lower incidence of cancer, heart disease, stroke, and a lot of other problems. Okay. And there's a lot of ways to stimulate autophagy, but it's getting late. We don't have time to go into that. And fasting, Lori, you mentioned this, and the article came out in the New England Journal of Medicine just a couple of years ago, which blew all of this out of the water, about intermittent fasting. And you mentioned that a little bit, eating during a certain window, like maybe a 6 or 8 hour.
So the most common way that people do intermittent fasting is they'll pick, like, say 8 hours a day to eat. And like I myself, I eat from 12 to 8 a day usually, and that's my eating window. And you actually get to where it's super easy. So I always tell people that first week, you might still be a little hungry during that meal that you're missing. But after missing that for a week, you don't have that anymore. And I'm sure you experienced this as well, because you stop having that. We talked about the insulin hormone. Well, your body has this circadian rhythm that puts out that hormone when it's expecting the meal that you usually have like at 8 in the morning. And if a week goes by and you're not eating until noon, your body's like shutting it down. And so there's not that hormone that increases your hunger, and your body's not hungry because it's not time to eat. And then you get hungry at noon if that's when you've been eating your meal. So, and there are medicines that I'll sometimes prescribe to help curb an appetite to help people get to that point. But, and not everybody has to lose weight doing intermittent fasting, but it's one of the easiest ways. Like, say, the menopausal woman, like Patsy mentioned, hormonal weight gain. And every woman knows that's been to menopause, knows that that's a really tough time to keep her weight down. And I think it's really hard for women to eat 3 meals a day when they're in menopause personally, but if they want to do it, it's just, they probably have to exercise maybe a little bit more than they would if they were choosing intermittent fasting. So a lot of this is just choices.
Exactly. And I like what you said. And I know the benefits of fasting, once again, we have a whole hour webinar on this. It affects every body system, and some studies looking at how it lowers cancer and lowers cancer recurrence. And some of the best studies on that are in breast cancer patients. So it's pretty cool. And you might say, well, why hasn't this gone viral? Because eating all day long is what we've been taught. And doctors haven't been trained to teach you how to do this. And quite frankly, if you come to see me, I don't have time in a 20-minute visit to teach you how to do it. And so that's why you need to start investigating this, and why it's a big part of our webinar series. Because now that I'm doing it, I'm never going back. I feel so good. I'm going all morning long, and I'm high on ketones. And I feel so great that now I don't want to have breakfast. And it's like I don't want it, because then I'm going to feel full, and it's going to cause me to get hungry in a couple of more hours. Now I don't want to eat breakfast. And I know, Laura, you're a big fan of Dr. Jason Fung, so am I. He is a diabetes doctor, and he's written, it's F-U-N-G, and he's written a lot of books, and he even has a new book, Living in the Fasting Lane. And actually what Jeff and I love to do is we love to read these books, whether it's on mindfulness meditation or fasting or autophagy or hot cold therapies, read all of this and then summarize it into a 1-hour presentation. And so here are some of the take-home messages. Lori, go over these. What do you think about them?
So, cutting the carbs. And, when you use the word carbs, especially the processed carbs, so the sugar, the flour, the pasta, the white potatoes, they do act a lot like sugar when they break down in the bloodstream. And, I'm not a legalistic one when it comes to, like, some people say, well, it's a potato, it's a vegetable. It's like, well, we kind of count that as a carb. And the same with, there's a lot of borderline, like carrots. They're in the middle there. And, you can look up the tables to see the glycemic index of foods to see how much it's going to break down and act like sugar in the bloodstream. But I encourage the vegetable carbs, but I discourage the processed carbs. And as far as like eating real food, the real food, like your vegetables, as opposed to, potato chips. Or,
And then the focus is on high quality in those fiber vegetables and trying to, I just don't eat as many potatoes as I used to. Just because now I've kind of gotten away from it. Now I prefer some, more Brussels sprouts and broccoli and asparagus and I prefer them. It took me a while to switch to them though. And just a couple of sentences on your microbiome. Your microbiome are those trillions of organisms in your gut that are ruling your body. There are people that say literally all disease starts in the gut. Heart disease is being linked to bacteria in the gut. Alzheimer's disease, because those bacteria, trillions of them, are not just sitting there, they're making hormones. They're making neurotransmitters. 95% of the serotonin in your body is made in your gut. And it's like your gut bacteria are their own endocrine organ. So when people say they have a hormonal problem, they sure may. It may be in their gut. It may be in their gut. So the question is, how do we alter that? And we can also, even aging is being associated with the microbiome. In fact, I love this article that came out just last year in the journal Gastroenterology. This is a quote. There's compelling proof of concept that the microbiome, all those gut bacteria, are sufficiently tractable, i.e. modifiable, and responsive to dietary intervention to modify the course of age-related disease. Aging is now being thought of as a disease. Aging is not a natural life process. These researchers at Harvard, Cleveland Clinic, USC are looking at aging as a disease. All the things you and I are doing to our bodies with our food, the air we're breathing, the stuff we're drinking, the stress that we have, not getting good quality sleep is actually causing DNA damage, which is causing aging. And when we don't stimulate those autophagy pathways by burning the fat, burning the bad cells, then those dysfunctional cells are causing inflammation, which lead to DNA damage. So this is fascinating. And if we can reprogram our gut with slowly introducing healthy foods and getting rid of the processed stuff, literally we can alter the course of disease. And it's amazing. And what's going to happen in the next few years, folks, is nothing short of sci-fi. The data that's coming out, trials that are going on right now with NIH and the CDC looking at aging as a disease. Pretty incredible. So improving the microbiome, that's with our food consumption. But doing, as Lori said, I can't emphasize it, doing it slowly. I personally am glad when I tried to introduce kale, I got sick. That was a gift, because it let people know to tell them baby steps. Because you might have the same reaction I did to some of these foods that are really healthy for you. Now I can eat kale like crazy, but it took a while. All right. So to summarize, the majority of us need to eat less, and we need to eat less often. And there are some people that feel like they have to eat a little bit all day long because they feel miserable. But those diets that are associated with that, like Metafast and some of those, the amount of food they're eating is very small. They're keeping their insulin levels pretty slow, and it's more protein-based food, not carb-based food. They're keeping their insulin levels fairly low, but those are very specific diets where you do that. All right. So try fasting. Recycle yourself. If people say, "Oh, are you into recycling?" Say, "Yes, myself. I'm going to recycle myself." Right? So the key is starting out slowly. After a while, you're not going to want those unhealthy foods. I can tell you, I used to love, can't get enough of it, fettuccine Alfredo. If you put a plate of that in front of me and said, "Patsy, I'll give you $100 if you'll eat this," I'd say, hell no. Not even 1,000. I can't eat the stuff now. I would literally get sick. My microbiome now says, we don't eat that anymore. And that used to be what I used. Now I have, by the way, I have no more stomach problems. I used to have stomach problems. I was on Nexium, Prilosec, those stuff. I'm on nothing now. Have no more stomach problems now that I changed my eating. So, assess your attitudes about eating. In fact, in the workbook, our Living Well Aware workbook, we have 8 tips to healthy eating, assessing your attitudes, even suggestions on how to eat at restaurants. I tell the chef how to cook my food and what not to put on the plate. I used to call those people snobs. Now I am one. But we teach people how to do that. So eat to live, think energy, think longevity and livelihood. Think about that. So read that in the workbook. And by the way, I hope some of y'all are going to sign up for the webinar series, which is going to start in October, 1 hour a week for 13 weeks on Zoom. If you can't attend live in the evening, you get a link. If you're a registrant for the next 72 hours, you have to watch it. We cover all this in detail: fasting, autophagy, how to slowly get into fasting. Some people have to do it slowly. They'll try it and they're going to be sick because they're so carb adaptive. We have to get them to lower carbs first, then try it. And so I've learned from a lot of people how they successfully did it. Now, Lori, tell us a little bit about the medications.
So we do have some really exciting medications that we're able to help people with. I would say there's this class called GLP-1. They're a hormone class, and the way they work, so Wegovy and Saxenda are both FDA approved for weight loss, and they give you more of that hormone that makes you feel full, so you can't eat very much. I was telling you about how I had a lady who wasn't losing weight, and she was feeling full when she was just halfway through with what normally she would eat the whole plate, but she forced herself to finish it so she didn't lose weight. But if you really pay attention to your hunger and only eat until you're almost full, and you have a medicine that makes you feel full with half the amount of food, you're generally going to lose weight well. And they're used for diabetes, like you've heard of probably Ozempic. It's on the television commercials. Well, the same exact medicine as Ozempic is Wegovy, which is FDA approved for weight loss. And then it's one of the ones I've had more people lose 50 to 90 pounds on that medicine than any other medicine I've used. I love that medicine, and we've got others too. Phentermine has been around for 50 years, and it's an appetite suppressant that costs like $10 a month, and it can be very useful. I have some people that take phentermine, they've lost maybe 30, 40, 50 pounds, and they take it for maintenance, and that's approved by the Obesity Medicine Association. There are Qsymia and Contrave, so they kind of fall in the middle. They're not quite as effective, and they're pretty expensive, so I don't have a lot of people that want to spend money on them because insurance doesn't pay for weight loss medicines frequently, so that's a problem. But there are some great meds that can be used, and like I said, if you got a $10 a month medicine, it doesn't matter if your insurance covers that, it can be very useful. So going all the way from that to the Wegovy, Saxenda, and then there's others. This new one called Mounjaro, it's not yet FDA approved for weight loss, but the weight loss on Mounjaro, which is a new diabetes med, is equal to that of bariatric surgery, which I know our bariatric surgeons are probably nervous about losing their patients, because now we've got meds that can lead to that kind of weight loss.
And then you can lose the weight, and while you're at it, learning how to live healthy, and then you've avoided surgery. For some people to get that kickstart, that may be the way to go. I'm more into the lifestyle management, and there's the medical guru over there.
And I tell them all the time, I talk to them about their food intake, their choices, because you can help them with their appetite, but if they're not changing the food they're eating and then they go off their medicine, the weight does tend to come back. And so do they want to take the medicine the rest of their life or change the way they're eating? And if they're not hungry, that helps so much, because if you've got a hungry person trying to eat a salad when they're used to a chicken fried steak, that may be a hard decision to make. But if they gradually get used to eating something more like the salad, then they're satisfied with that.
Yeah, and it's amazing how you can slowly do it over time. I remember my dad, when he had a heart attack in his early 70s, he was about to have a heart attack. He had a little chest pain. They caught it early, and he had his heart surgery. And he's like, "What causes this?" And I went, "Dad, maybe it's that stuff you're eating." And here he was. He slowly started changing his eating. And one day when he came for an appointment, I took him to lunch, and he ordered a salad. And I went, "Dad, is that what you're going to eat for lunch? He goes, well, yeah. Don't you know that's healthy? Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know you knew that. I mean, here he was, he changed it, and at the age of 92, he called me up, and he did this. And he was staying active on the farm and the ranch, and he called me up at 92, and he said, hey, got a question for you. I said, yeah, Dad, where are you? He goes, I'm at the gym in Hillsboro. I said, Dad, what are you doing at the gym in Hillsboro? He goes, I'm going to join. At my age, you get a free membership. And if it's free, my dad's in. And I went, oh, crap. I said, Dad, what makes you think you need to exercise? He goes, I read your book. That make movement mandatory crap. He goes, I got to get in more steps. And I got to lift some weights. And I went, okay, Dad, be careful, be careful, be careful. And I called him up a few days later. I go, Dad, how you doing? He goes, oh, I've been to the gym 4 times. I went, really? He goes, yeah, I'm having fun. He goes, you ought to see these young girls. My dad's going to the gym to check out the chicks. I mean, anyway, this is an advertisement for next month. Jeff and a panel of amazing people here in town are going to be discussing fitness for all, finding something we can do. There's something that we can all do. That is going to help us with weight management. You know, I mean, I exercise actually to keep up my muscle mass and for my mental health. But I must admit, it does allow me to eat a few more calories a day also. All right? So the goal of living well aware, live healthy, live happy, live holy. Why? So we can meet our role expectations and lift humanity. So we hope some of y'all will join us for the webinar series that's starting in October. And we do have some information out there. There is a small fee that goes along with it, but for you guys that are involved in Living Well in Bell, if you sign up, you get my free book, free workbook, and free journal that goes with it. Okay, just don't tell anybody else. Okay, because this isn't being advertised on the website, but we appreciate you guys coming out and spending time here. And we want you bringing your family and friends next month as we talk about a really, really important topic and all the amazing things that are available in our community that I didn't even know about till I started talking to these people and we started lining up speakers. I'm blown away with what's offered in this community for free or cheap at all fitness levels. So I and Dr. Thornton are going to be around, and Jeff will be out at the table if anybody has any questions about all the topics on the webinar series, or if you want to get the free book, workbook, and journal to be when you sign up. Sherry, I'm going to take it over to you. Let's give it up for Dr. Thornton here. No, if anybody has any questions.
We've got just a few minutes. If anybody has any questions, I think, Holly, there's a mic there. We can get it around to you. But is there anybody that we can't take very many? We want to take a few. We got a question right here.
What about the carbs of beans and like black-eyed peas?
The carbs in beans and black-eyed peas. You know, that's good. You get fiber on that. I think it's good. It's the amount. And I'm not saying I eat lentils and the carbs and quinoa. I usually do gluten-free, but my portion size is small. Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you.
Yes.
I know we talk about eating fresh food, but you said it comes from a reputable source. I know a lot of our fresh food is treated to stay for the longevity of freshness. Is that hurting us with all of the chemicals that go into the food that we're eating? That is that we go to the grocery store buying foods.
Okay. I can let Lori address this also, but personally, I try to get good source food, and if there's an organic option, I'm going to get it, and try to less chemicals and preservatives. And I'm going to I'm looking at labels. If I am going to eat sausage, which I will do during Labor Day weekend, it is going to be nitrate-free, no preservatives. I'm going to be very picky about what I get. And I can tell you just that Jeff and I are really look at ours. Lori, what would you say about that?
You know, I just look at it as a spectrum, and I think the vegetables in the grocery store, I mean, maybe they've got some treatment on them, but they're far better than what most people are eating. So I mean, that's what I eat, and yeah, but I don't go to organic groceries, grocers, or yeah, I'm sure they have some better options over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of our grocery stores now, like H-E-B, has so many organic options. It's incredible, and you're not gonna be chemical free. It's just not going to happen. But I think the lower we can get the amount of chemicals in our body. I can tell you, I have an air purifier in my house because I'm in my house a lot. I want to breathe clean air. I have a reverse osmosis in my kitchen. The water I drink is been filtered, and all the crap has been taken out of it because I go through so much water. But I'm going to try to reduce the amount of chemicals I'm putting in my body. I'm not going to be freaking out about it, and I'm not going to go, oh, I'm not going to eat that or whatever. I'm just going to go, oh, here's something that I can do. I can have a water purification system installed. Easy. And Jeff and I cover that in the webinar series, some things that we can simply do in our homes that are inexpensive and to lower these chemicals. Thank you for bringing that up. Dorothy.
Yes, two questions, Patsy. Number one, is the Living Well Aware series next month going to be available to folks who are going to be out of town and can't attend?
Yes, if you register for the webinar series, it starts October the 4th. That'll be the first one, and we'll finish the series by the end of the year, so you'll be ready for 2023. And there's going to be a recording available for several days. And even if you're on vacation, take an hour and watch it. Okay? I'm going to be in Colorado with my friends, and I asked them, "Do you have a good internet connection? I have to do a webinar from there for a company." And she goes, "Yes." So
How about the Living Well and Bell series?
the Living Well and Bell. I'm sorry. As long as the speakers will allow us to record, which Lori, we didn't ask you. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, that's fine.
Good. We've had speakers who say no, they do not want to be recorded. Okay. And as long as the speakers do not mind being recorded, we record them. Yes.
Okay, and on your breakfast, since you don't eat breakfast, do you have a protein drink?
No. I don't eat anything.
Just coffee?
I have a black cup of coffee.
Okay.
And I usually eat sometime after 12. And sometimes I literally have to remind myself, oh yeah, you need to eat. I mean, maybe I should eat something, or I'll finally get a little bit hungry. Or if I do get a little bit hungry in the morning, I'll go drink 8 ounces of almond milk, which is 30 calories. Don't freak out and make yourself miserable. Just slowly start doing this. And once again, when it comes to fasting, I think baby steps are the way to go. First, we have to teach people how to lower carbs and then how to do it. And that's an hour lecture. But anyway.
Hello.
What?
Frozen vegetables?
Frozen vegetables, yeah, you can get organic frozen vegetables. Yes, with no preservatives or anything in them, you bet. And I like to keep some of those in the freezer just in case I haven't had a chance to go to the grocery store. I can always pop them in and roast them in the oven. Thank you.
As Dorothy's other half, you whizzed through one of the slides, and I swear I saw something on there about an apple cider vinegar, and they're, getting to be older than old. I start seeing these go low and eat these 6 pretty colored vegetable pills a day and apple cider vinegar. Is any of that worth more than $1 bill?
Well, personally, I don't take any of the capsules and stuff. And I don't even really make smoothies. I just eat real food. But I do put a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in one of my bottles of water. There is some data that it can help the microbiome. And our microbiome rules our life. And it's cheap. You can get a whole big jug of organic apple cider vinegar for a few bucks, and it's going to take you a long time to get through it because you only want a tablespoon at a time, maybe once a day or maybe twice a day at the most. But
Go-Lo.
what?
Go-Lo.
What's Go-Lo?
So, Go-Lo is an expensive product that I've asked my patients to show me what they buy when they buy their Go-Lo, and I looked at it to try to figure out why this would work. And I think it has nothing to do with what's in the Go-Lo, but if you read the packaging of what they're told that they need to do for a, quote, metabolic reset to do the Go-Lo, they're doing some intermittent fasting. They're cutting back to like 500 calories a day for like a week, and then it's the really the same thing we're talking about. They're telling that they have to take this go low that they have to buy, but also they have to really reduce their intake. And that's what's leading to their weight loss, I'm convinced, after trying to figure out why.
Exactly. People are trying to market stuff like they'll market you stuff to detox your body with. You want to detox your body? Don't eat. Then your body will start eating itself. It's the best detox in drinking water and doing stuff like that. And that's why we don't have any products to sell you. I don't have any vitamins, minerals, supplements to sell you. I'm not saying any of that's, not all of that's bad. And we do have one of the lectures in the webinar series is on supplements. As we age, what are some things that you really may want to consider? And actually, what are some things you definitely want to avoid? Okay, you want to avoid. All right, and we have no stock in any of the companies that we talk about, a certain vitamin or whatever. Yes, yes, sir.
I read that 2 teaspoons of raw honey in the morning is a good thing. What do you think?
Is that from the honey makers?
Most likely.
Probably. Personally, to me, that's pure sugar, and I fast in the morning, so I'll say if you're going to do it later on in the day. But once again, there's no data that getting a couple of tablespoons of sugar in your diet is going to help your microbiome or help you live longer or anything like this that I'm aware of. And if there is, I'll include it in one of the series.
One last question.
I think I saw somebody raise their hand over here. Sorry. I was just going to ask about probiotics.
Probiotics, yeah, that's a lecture in and of itself. But you can even buy probiotics, even get some really good products at Natural Grocer that are also dairy-free, and some people actually need them to help reprogram their microbiome. And if you're going to take antibiotics, my patients that are going to be on an antibiotic for whatever reason, sinus infection or whatever, they have to be on antibiotics, I tell them to go buy a good probiotic while they're on it. Yeah, and there's a whole talk on the probiotics in good foods, the foods that you can eat that are high in probiotics, yeah.
Okay, I know we ran a little bit past time, but this
Way
is
to go.
great questions. Thank you so much. And let's give these guys, Dr. Thornton, Dr. Sulak, a big round of applause. Woo-hoo!
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll be around if anybody else has any questions, and we hope to see you next month. And once again, if you have any questions about the webinar series or whatever, I hope to see a lot of y'all online. We already have 80 people that are registered. It's going to be our best series ever. We were only going to do it once. We're doing it the 5th time starting in October. Totally new series. It's going to have a lot of new information, so we're really excited about it. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you. We hope to see you September 15th.